story. Imagine you are a performer and you perform for 50,000 people. You're very famous, and at your performance, they charge $50 a ticket to come see you perform. Now, when you go and you're out in public, you sign autographs. Everybody knows you. There's things with your likeness on it that you see every day that people charge money for, but you receive no revenue from that. Well, in 1993, at the University of Michigan, Chris Webber, power forward, played basketball. He was the most famous college athlete at the time. He was at his school and he walks into the store, that's at the campus, and he wanted to buy him a sneaker bar or something like that. He looked into his pocket and realized he only had $3 on him. But the student in front of him was buying the jersey with his number on it for $30. Now, is that fair to Chris Webber that out of his likeness, the school makes X amount of dollars and he makes nothing from it? Well, today I want to discuss is the fairness of college students, athletes, not getting paid. Now, the first thing, Forbes magazine wrote in 2009 the most successful college programs. And we're talking about the kind of money that these student athletes generate for these programs. The University of Michigan made $97 million off of their football and basketball programs. Notre Dame, who was number one on the list, made $180 million. They have a $9 million TV deal with NBC. Now, these programs are making all this amount of money, but none of that, and this is at the expense of the student athlete. They also did the average coach's salary in in Division I football and basketball. It's $500,000. That's the average. If you take the average of all the coaches in these sports, they make $500,000 off of these programs. That's from the lowest to the highest. The highest that they think is Coach. Because I can't really say his name, for
Coach K.
Coach K for Duke. He averages just off of his salary $1.5 million a year. Now, all these people are making all this money from these college student athletes, but they're making nothing, and they're sacrificing their well-being. If they get hurt, if any of these student athletes get hurt, they won't be able to pursue a professional sports, and they're stuck in a situation that they're in. Now, there is an argument that we have that most people say, well, what about the college scholarship that they receive? Isn't that some sort of payment? The average college scholarship, based on Forbes magazine, is $200,000. Isn't that worth something, saying that that's toward their salary? And that's over the span of all schools. But now let's look at the life of a college student athlete. Now, of course, they get the scholarship to go to school, but do they actually get to go to school? Well, for college football players, they travel, they practice all this time. They miss a lot of school time, not like your average school student who gets to go 15 hours of school and then come home and study. They're on the road most of the time. And then in the springtime, practice starts in March. So they only have 2 months where there is nothing they have to do. It's basically like a job for them. Same for basketball players, baseball players, even lacrosse players practice most of the year so they don't have the time. They're not going to school at the same rate that a regular student is going is going. So for them, if they just did a regular curriculum, it would take them 8 years to graduate, as opposed to a 4-year student graduating. So is that a fair assessment to compare college athletes to regular students? I don't think so. That's the first argument. That is of saying there's a free education, because they don't get the same. They don't get to go to school at the same time. Now, the question would be, what could possibly be an answer to this? How do I think we could help the college student athlete, and what would be my solution? First of all, I think there should be revenue sharing. There should be a small salary. I'm not saying, now let's if you look at a pro professional athletic program, the NFL or the NBA, the average team over the three major sports, Major League Baseball, NFL, and the NBA, the average amount of money made by those is $898 million. So there is a big disparity between the two of them. But we're not talking about paying these kids millions of dollars. We're talking about give them enough money where they can survive, they can eat, they can go home. There's Division I rules that don't allow student athletes to get money from anywhere. Now, a regular student, if his uncle or if a friend of his mother gave them a plane ticket for them to fly home, even if they're an alumni of the school, that's no problem with that. But for a student athlete, if a booster gives them a plane ticket to fly home, that's against Division I regulations. Again, you're not only not paying the student athlete, you're penalizing him for being a student athlete. So there should be some kind of revenue sharing from these colleges that make so much money off of these athletes, that they are allowed to eat, travel, live, because they're being penalized by Division I for being a student athlete, and money's being made from them. The second thing is any sales generated from their likeness. Now, how the Division I colleges get away with this is by not putting the name of the player on the back. But in 1993, everybody knew who number 4 for Michigan was. So it's not fair, because the back didn't say Weber, that he doesn't receive. There's no other number 4. I mean, he should receive something off the sales of that jersey. Now, the last part is the TV revenue. Now, if Notre Dame receives $9 million from being on TV, the likeness that is portrayed on that TV are these athletes. Just like actors or any other, they should be paid for being on TV. It's that simple. We're taking from these student athletes now the percentage of athlete. Here's the thing, and there's another argument. The argument is they will go professional. They become pro. The likelihood of a NFL, of a Division I football player becoming pro, according to SportsInfo.com, is 13%. He has a 13% chance of becoming a professional.